Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD, is a chronic condition that affects millions of children and often continues into adulthood. ADHD includes a combination of persistent problems such as difficulty sustaining attention, hyperactivity, and impulsive behavior. Men are 3 times more at risk for ADHD than women. And some common characteristics fall into 3 different categories for ADHD: predominantly inattentive, predominantly hyperactive/impulsive, or combined. And combined is the most common found in the US, which is a mixture of the symptoms of inattentive and hyperactive/impulsive. So I will be talking to you about some symptoms of the predominantly inattentive and hyperactive impulsive. And some of the symptoms for, first, predominantly inattentive is failing to pay close attention to details and making careless decisions in schoolwork, having trouble staying focused in tasks or during play. They appear that they are not listening even when they're being directly spoken to. They may have difficulty following through on instructions and fail to finish homework or tasks. They may lose items needed to complete the tasks or activities, for example, toys, school assignments, or even pencils. They may be easily distracted, or they may forget to do some of the daily activities, such as forgetting to do your chores. And the second one I will be talking about is hyperactivity impulsive. So the symptoms for those may be fidgeting or tapping his or her head, squirming in their seat, having difficulty staying seated in the classroom or in other situations. They may be on the go in constant motion. They run around or climb in situations that are not appropriate. Having trouble playing or even interrupting questioners while they were still asking the question. They may talk too much. They may blurt out answers. They may have difficulty waiting for his or her turn. They may interrupt or intrude others' conversations, such as during games or even activities. And a combination ADHD is a mixture of the hyperactive and predominantly inattentive, and it's different, varying from person to person. And the next thing I will be talking about is a diagnosis for ADHD. And diagnosis for ADHD can happen by taking your child or yourself to a professional, like a doctor, to test, and they will monitor and check for multiple symptoms, and if they're found, they will then monitor them to see how long they prolong, and if they prolong for longer than 6 months, and the person is having trouble in school or in daily activities or at home, then the professional will be able to diagnose them. So the first step is definitely, if you're wondering if your child has ADHD, to definitely take them to a professional. They will help you to lead you to the next steps to take further from there. And the treatment won't cure ADHD, but they do help the symptoms. So treatment is typically done by medications or behavioral interventions. Controversial topics that are found in ADHD. They may include debates on whether ADHD is a mental illness/disability, or whether it is actually, the mental disability or a neurological description of a normal condition. In other words, they're wondering if this is actually mental illness or if it's just something people are describing for a normal condition. My personal story when it comes to this is started when I was in middle school. I always had trouble focusing in class, and when middle school hit around that time, I was having a lot of trouble staying focused. I had a lot of stuff going on at home and at school. I just could not stay focused or on task at all. So the teachers began to tell my mom to get myself checked out if I could possibly have ADHD, and my mom never believed that ADHD is a real mental type of condition, and she therefore did not take me to go get diagnosed. So from middle school on, I always struggled in the classroom. focusing, maintaining my attention, and it really affected my academics. I failed all of middle school. I failed the beginning of my high school, and then I was able to get mentors to help guide me, give me tips on how to be able to manage the symptoms, those kinds of things. And then now that I've learned a lot more about ADHD, it really makes me wonder, after seeing all these symptoms and making me recognize that this is something that's real. This is a struggle. I've lived this myself, and I really would not wish this upon anyone, to be struggling in this by themselves, or people telling them that it's not a real thing. And I definitely think that if anyone is wondering if their child or themselves has ADHD, to get themselves tested. And strategies that help with dealing with ADHD can be, I don't know if you guys have heard of something called fidget tools. I know one of the common things that people have heard are fidget spinners, but there's all different kinds of fidget tools. For example, in your desk, if you're sitting on a desk, there's this rubber band that you can stick to your seat, and you can use your foot to play with it all throughout the class period, and it's not very loud at all, so it won't be distracting to the students around you. Desk arrangements are definitely strategies to help deal with ADHD. So for example, a horseshoe. I don't know if you guys have heard of the desk arrangement of the horseshoe. So that can help people with ADHD by putting them maybe at the ends and in the front of the classroom, so that they can have the minimal distractions possible and they'll be close to the teacher. And recommendations I would give to teachers is to, one, be very patient and understanding above everything, because oftentimes these kids are struggling and a lot of them are not getting the help they need. And by being very impatient, it will really discourage the child, because oftentimes kids with ADHD tend to do poor because they don't have that proper support or the guidance or the counsel to be able to know how to deal with these situations. And definitely I will recommend the fidget tools, because those really, if I would have had that in high school, I would have been able to focus a lot more. But if you do decide to do fidget tools, it is very important that you teach them the fidget tools etiquette. In other words, the fidget tools are tools. They are not toys. They're used to be able to help them focus more in class. So that's about as much as I'm going to share with you about ADHD. And I will put all of my sources at the end of the video. Okay, thank you.